Hello, and welcome to Bitesized Podcast. I'm your host, Andalee. Bitesized Podcast is a holistic nutrition podcast for pregnancy, postpartum, and baby starting solids, with some sprinkles of special guests to further educate you on all of the options available to support you on this journey. Continuing our journey into solids with your baby, we're going to be discussing flavor. There has been much debate and struggle among parents about what to start with. Do you start with sweet foods like fruit, and will that create a sweet tooth in them? Or do you start with vegetables, some savory options, in hope that they won't refuse broccoli later on? The truth is, humans just seem to be naturally drawn to sweet foods. On top of that, breast milk and formula are actually quite sweet themselves. If you haven't tried it, I would recommend it. I know that might sound weird, but I bet you're at least a little bit curious about what your child is consuming. I digress. The point is, way back to hunter-gatherer times, sweet foods tended to be caloric dense and safe to eat, so this might be why we gravitate towards sweeter foods. Of course, most of us are getting our foods from the grocery store now and not gathering them from wild fields. So we're looking at different circumstances. Instead of deciding on a single flavor profile to offer your child, you should actually aim to offer a variety of flavors. Human taste can actually be classified into 5 different categories: sweet, sour, salty, bitter, and savory. Savory is also sometimes that umami flavor you hear of. So when you think of it this way, it totally opens up the world of what to offer your baby. Sweet foods are foods that contain high glucose, fructose, and lactose. Sour foods are high acidic foods. Just as humans were drawn to sweet foods for survival, we also strayed away from bitter foods as these tended to be poisonous. However, now bitterness can add interesting flavors to our food. Bitter foods can be high in protein, so this is actually great. Salty foods are obviously high in sodium, but tend to enhance flavor. On a cautious note, salty foods should definitely be limited for babies, as their tiny bodies can't handle as much sodium as an adult. Savory or umami foods are high in glutamate, which is an amino acid. Umami is actually a Japanese word meaning pleasant, savory taste. But let's talk about some foods in each category that would be great to offer babies. In sweet foods, we've got papaya, mango, bell peppers, figs, coconut milk. You get the idea. These are all sweet options to offer to your baby alone or alongside other foods. Some sour foods: lemons, gooseberries, grapefruit or other citrus, limes, or rhubarb. These are some sour foods that can be a fun addition to their food offerings. Some bitter foods to consider are broccoli, kale, arugula, dandelion tea, or spinach. These are all super nutritious and when prepared appropriately for a baby can be very delicious. Some savory foods to consider are seaweed, mushroom, tomato, kimchi, and meats. Some salty foods are cheeses, nuts, canned fish, and meats, but keep in mind some of these foods I mentioned can only be introduced at a certain time due to allergies, which we've not yet discussed, but certainly will. So I mentioned many flavor profiles because studies have shown that the timely introduction of a variety of tastes and food textures would best predict acceptance and subsequent inclusion of a wide range of foods, especially fruit and vegetables within the child's diet. Some studies also show that babies who are spoon-fed purees also tend to have more of a preference to sweet foods as opposed to those who did baby-led weaning or combo feeding, as they have more of a variety in flavors and textures. So in saying that, remember that no matter what method you choose to feed your baby with, you can still help them develop their palate with herbs and spices. Baby food can often be very bland and boring, but as we've discussed, it can be very beneficial for them to experience a wide variety of flavors. Baby food does not have to be bland for them to accept and enjoy their food, but rather, adding flavor can help them become more adventurous eaters and help them to expect some change in their food. Not only that, but some herbs and spices are nutrient dense and offer other health benefits. Even just a pinch goes a long way. These are some combinations to consider whether the baby is doing baby-led weaning, purees, or a combo. These can be offered however way you choose to feed your baby. Apple and cinnamon, avocado and cilantro, beets and mint, blueberries and basil, carrots and nutmeg, chicken and rosemary, cheese and honey. Again, double check the allergens. Eggs and parsley, lamb and tarragon, lentils and cumin, meat and garlic, olives and orange, parsnip and thyme, peach and turmeric, salmon and lemon, strawberries and balsamic, squash and ginger, yams and cardamom, yogurt, plain, with olive oil, zucchini and oregano. Be sure to chop up any fresh herbs super finely, and again, remember to follow allergen guidelines before offering. I know some of those flavor combos I mentioned you are probably gawking at because they sound crazy, but I highly recommend trying some odd combos. I mean, personally, I love some fries and Frosty. If you know, you know. Consider this your child's version of fries and a Frosty. So after the initial introduction of a food to your child, start getting creative with flavor combinations to broaden their palate and help them become adventurous eaters. Remember, you offer them the food with the option that they can eat it if they want to, and how much. To catch up on any starting solids basics, be sure to listen to the last few episodes on developmental signs of readiness, family meals, your available options on how to feed them, and doing a baby-led approach. You can also download my free guide on my website. In the freebies section, I have a few free resources for you. Head to bitesizedpodcast.com to check them out. Here is a reminder of all the discount codes I have for you. Needed vitamins for all your supplement needs, use code Bitesized for 20% off. Ovry for ovulation strips, pregnancy tests, and male fertility tests. Whether you're trying to get pregnant or avoid it, these are good for you and the environment. Bitesize 10 for 10% off. And finally, if you missed it in my Starting Solids download, be sure to check out Raising Humans Co. for all your silicone tableware needs. Use code Bitesized for 10% off by shopping at the link in the description. You can also find all of the amazing things on our Instagram at bitesized.podcast. So thank you so much for tuning in today. I hope you are feeling that much more confident about the Starting Solids journey with your baby. Please leave us a 5-star rating and review wherever you listen to your podcasts. And in case no one has told you today, you look radishing. Bye! For any studies I mentioned in this podcast, be sure to check the description below. Although I am a certified holistic nutrition consultant, I am not your consultant. This podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only and is not always specific to you and your needs. While I strive to provide you with the most up-to-date and accurate information about nutrition, this is not a substitute for professional advice, and you should not rely solely on the information herein.